Good evening, and welcome to the Crown Hill Journey. I'm Christina Apt, your guide. I'm also the author of Crown Hill. Thank you for joining me this evening as we come down to the final few chapters of Crown Hill, a novel of love, life, and the afterlife. So last night, Meg had quite a day with Clara Johnson. At the end of Meg's day of hearing all these things from Clara Johnson that were overwhelming to her, she then ended up falling asleep on her porch swing and being awakened by Brady late, 9:30 at night. And she has come to enjoy this man's company and come to look forward to possibly developing a relationship with him. So she felt it would behoove her to tell him all the things that Clara had told her about herself, about being related to Rose, all the things that happened in the house, and about Mary Southwick. And the more she told Brady, the less he liked it. And he finally got up and left Meg and Goldie to their own devices and terribly sad about the whole thing. So that's pretty much where we left it, with Meg heading off to bed, not realizing that as she went up the stairs that there was a scent of roses that followed her, which we have come to know are directly related to Mary, and also Mary's specter in the mirror of her closet, her bedroom door, as she walked by it. So she didn't see any of those things, and but she went to bed exhausted, worn out, emotionally, physically, the whole 9 yards. Been there, done that, right? So time to move on. Sip of wine. Yum. Glasses. Okay, you ready? Here we go. I need to take a deep breath. Meg awoke with a start that bolted her body upright in bed. Looking around the softly moonlit room, she felt fully alert, aware of something disturbing yet unknown. Her middle-of-the-night motion awakened Goldie as well. Immediately, the protective pet jumped onto the bed next to her owner and began sniffing the air. It was as if she were tracking something unfamiliar in the room. "What's up, girl? Did I wake you?" Meg's voice encouraged a distracted tail wag, but nothing more. The dedicated retriever was focused on her mission of sensory investigation. As Goldie remained vigilant, her hackles rose up along the ridge of her golden furred back. "Oh, heavenly day," Meg thought to herself. "I don't know what this dog thinks she smells, but I am in no mood to have her get all stirred up in the middle of the night." Wrapping her arms around her loyal companion, Meg attempted to pull Goldie into a full body hug. However, the sizable dog was having none of it. Uncharacteristically, Goldie pulled away from Meg, emitting a soft growl as she moved. "Goldie, shame on you. You've never growled at me before. What is the matter with you?" Meg's scolding caused the dog to react in admonished shame. Gently, she sidled up to her mistress and offered an apologetic kiss. "That's better. Thank you, Miss Goldie." Hugging the loving animal, Meg felt the tension of whatever had awakened her begin to ebb. Her only problem was that now she was fully awake. After a week of restless nights, Meg needed to sleep. The exhausted woman got up and walked across the bedroom to a vintage black and white television sitting securely on a bracketed wall shelf. In the year it had taken Meg to work through her divorce, she had endured a major case of insomnia. Out of desperation, the emotionally overwrought woman turned to late-night television as her sleeping drug of choice. Now that she was happily settled into Crown Hill, Meg rarely needed the electronic sleep inducer. Tonight, however, she had a need for the television's soothing drone. Pushing the power button, images of Meg's mother flickered across her mind. The old-fashioned TV had been a second-hand gift from her mom shortly before she passed. In the waning years of her life, the aging widow kept the black and white broadcaster running continually, explaining it as a way to ward off the emptiness of living alone. The day she insisted that her daughter take the antiquated television home, Meg knew it was the end of her loving parents' life drawing near. Turning back towards her bed, Meg's memory of her mother was cut short as unexplained fear bolted through her body and blinded her mind. Instinctively, the frightened woman jumped forward, screaming as she felt something behind her, scraping along the full length of her body. All reason eluded Meg as Goldie came flying off the bed toward her in full barking alarm. Instinctively, immediately, Meg was divided between her instinctive need for self-protection and her humane desire to safeguard her dog. Honoring both, she stepped forward and derailed Goldie's progress by grabbing her collar, at the same time spinning around to face whatever danger she had felt. In the moonlight shadows, Meg was astonished to witness the television, face down on her bedroom carpet. The heavy black cord linking the television's inner workings to the electrical outlet still connected. In fact, Meg could hear the voice of a familiar talk show host broadcasting through the speaker, now muffled in the carpet floor. The sight of the wall shelf lying undamaged nearby on the floor compounded her confusion. Deciding to improve her view of the calamity, Meg stepped forward to turn on the overhead light. A sharp pain in the back of her right calf immediately halted her progress. Reaching down, Meg discovered a golf ball-sized welt where the television must have bruised her leg as it scraped along her body. The tender bump stimulated Meg's frightened realization of what could have happened had she not moved forward so quickly. Gingerly moving to the wall, Meg flipped on the light switch. Straight away, she inspected the shelf and then the wall brackets. All were perfect, without mark or defect. Nothing, Meg could imagine, would rationalize the television tumbling off the shelf or the self-separating from the wall, both without damage in any form. Methodically, Meg placed the shelf onto the secure brackets again and positioned the television in its rightful place. At that point, the bewildered woman decided that she had two choices. She could give extended thought to all that had just happened and undoubtedly become anxious about all that was going on at Crown Hill, or she could simply dismiss the entire incident as odd happenstance and go back to bed. Turning off the light, Meg chose the latter. Goldie joined her mistress on the bed, intent on staying protectively close. Meg took comfort in the security of her pet as she tried to dispel the array of nagging fears assaulting her mind. Turning to the reassuring pattern of her nightly bedtime routine, Meg fluffed her down pillows and snuggled into a curled ball under her cotton sheet and lightweight quilt. Forcing herself to close her eyes, the tense woman drew a deep breath, hoping to release the stress that was racking her body. As it turned out, the only thing Meg released was another scream, as within her mind she was confronted by what had earlier awakened her so dramatically. It was a man, or more accurately, the vision of a man. He was a stranger, but his threatening words were familiar. "I will make your world a tortured hell forever and end your life at Crown Hill." Meg again bolted upright in her bed. Goldie became fully engaged beside her, growling with hackles raised. This time Meg did not chastise her defensive dog. Reaching out to her nightstand, Meg turned on the table lamp. In the security of the illuminating light, she scanned the room, searching for the threatening man. Meg knew it was crazy, but she couldn't help herself. Whoever this person was, he came through her dreams and into her mind in a very real way. She could feel his presence in the room, as apparently did Goldie. Both woman and dog were frozen in fear. Glancing toward Big Ben, Meg could see that it was now 3 a.m. She was never going back to sleep now, especially when closing her eyes might allow a return of the fearsome man. No, she would stay awake and hope that in the light of dawn the threatening spirit would disappear. Meg sat motionless in bed, monitoring every sound and creak in her aged farmhouse. Within her heightened awareness, she searched her mind for traces of the dream that seemed to have activated the night's unsettling events. Slowly, she recalled that the man first materialized at the end of her bed, silently standing and waiting. It had taken Meg some time to realize his presence, as her subconscious had been fully engaged in a review of the day's happenings with Clara. However, gradually, this unknown man became the center of her dream as Meg struggled to identify exactly who it was at the foot of her bed. Her growing awareness of the man strengthened his spirit until he became a menacing force within the room. Meg struggled to speak but found her voice disabled. As she lay mute, the man declared his thoughts with an intensity that paralyzed her body as well. Your presence here in my home is not welcome. You do not belong here, and you have no business interfering with my wife. Stay away from her, or I will see to it that you suffer. Allowing for the full force of his words to penetrate the room, the spirit moved steadily closer to Meg until he loomed directly over her. Exhibiting a barely contained rage, he issued yet another warning. Do not discount what I have told you. Sever yourself from my wife, or I will make your world a tortured hell and end your life at Crown Hill. In recalling his threatening words, Meg became more fully aware and alarmed over the reason why. She had spent a great part of the previous day listening to Clara's story of Crown Hill, including details of Mary Southwick's tragic death and her husband's rumored part in her dreadful passing. In reimagining the sights and sounds of this threatening man of her dreams, Meg found herself making a connection to Owen Southwick. Could that be the truth? She wondered. Had Owen Southwick invaded my home, intruded into my room, threatened my life? Trying to stay calm, Meg inhaled deeply and exhaled fully. But she could not slow her racing mind. How could such a thing happen? How has my home transformed from protected tranquility to disruptive turmoil, all in a matter of hours? And how is it that spirits, seances, and a murder or suicide have come to define the world that I thought was so safe and protected? Meg could feel her heart pounding wildly, as it often would following a disagreement, shouting match with Cal. She knew well the feeling of being threatened by an abusive man. She had just never experienced such cruelty from a male spirit. Meg found that thought oddly humorous. which made her laugh out loud. Seems as if I'm forever meant to be challenged in both mind and body by identically threatening men, Goldie. The understanding canine snuggled more closely to her owner, bestowing a gentle kiss on her hand. It was in that moment that Meg became fully aware of the strength of her mind. Suddenly, she realized that she did not have to be threatened or intimidated by Owen Southwick. While she might not know exactly how to deal with spirits, she had become strong enough to withstand attempts to mistreat her by any person or being. Meg further understood that, in some way, the spirit of Mary Southwick needed her help, her strength. And by aiding Mary, she would be going against the dangerous anger of Owen. That combined realization led Mary to a clear decision. As soon as the sun rose, she would call Clara Johnson and tell her of this dream. She might even mention that the television almost crashed on top of her. The spiritually connected woman would know what to do. Meg was sure of it. After all, Clara was the one who told her that she was meant to come to Crown Hill. And the reasons for her presence in the house on the hill were becoming increasingly clear to Meg with each passing moment. We had underestimated Owen's ability to become aware of Meg and her growing connection to Mary. Our miscalculation extended further to Owen's foreboding ill will. Before appearing to Meg, he constrained Mary and I with his overpowering evil. We were literally immobilized and isolated, unable to protect Meg as he invaded her being. Of equal concern was the physical harm that Owen tried to inflict upon Meg. While the brooding man lashed out cruelly against Mary during their marriage, he had never reacted with physical fury against others. His effort to injure Meg by hurling a television upon her provided frightening notice of his increasingly volatile spirit. In the light of the advancing day, Owen finally withdrew from me. Freed from his power, I immediately encircled Meg and Goldie, calling upon the goodness of all who had ever dwelt within me for added strength and protection. I aggregated a powerful force of the same to stand against Owen and diminish all chances of his immediate return. Reflecting on the night's events, the only goodness to evolve out of the terror was Meg's stalwart reaction. Many would have been intimidated by Owen's menacing threats. Instead, Meg's devotion to her new home and her belief in Clara's stories of her grandmother motivated the determined woman to choose action over fear. As Meg focused on contacting Clara, I reached out to Mary. connecting, I sensed that she was in some way changed. Beloved Crown Hill, I am so grateful for your positive spirit around Meg. She needs to be protected against Owen, which I know you can do. However, I am troubled about the manner in which I should now move forward. My hope was to complete my bond with Meg before Owen became aware. But after the occurrences of last night, it is obvious that such hope is futile, and we now all face the constant threat of his wrathful retribution. The positive force that had been advancing Mary's spirit since Meg's arrival was depleted. I understood it as Owen invading her being, a pattern through which he had controlled her in her life and was now still doing in her afterlife. Do not go without hope, my sweet Mary. While Owen's awareness makes your connection with Meg more challenging, it does not mean an end. Meg is already planning on reaching out to Clara. That makes it clear Owen has not intimidated her. We have but to draw together the positive life forces within me and encircle them around you and Meg. And I believe that she will be able to use the power of her goodness to guide you. I could feel Mary's spirit continuing to retreat. I understood that Owen's return and his threatening actions against Meg had deeply impacted her. No matter how encouraging I tried to be, Mary was holding true to that which she had perpetually known. Owen's cruelty always won out. Feeling the battered woman drowning in despair, I reached out to her again. Mary, soon you will have the combined strengths of Meg and Clara within me. Together, they are a force capable of all that you need. Know that if you can just come forward this one last time, put your trust in me and allow some sense of faith in Meg and Clara, and all will be as it should be. I gathered the strength of my love for Mary and centered it into the depths of my being. With every energy that I possessed, I infused my ardor into her spirit, hoping to overcome Owen's cruelty that had so deeply scarred her soul. My dearest friend had to respond, had to believe, or she would be forever trapped in the darkness of Owen's world. Finally, from my innermost core came her reply. Crown Hill, you know all that I am and all that I was. In the light of your love, I pledge all I can be to you. So what do you think? Pretty big chapter. A lot going on. Very proud of Meg. I'm not going to take this. I'm tougher and stronger, and I don't have to worry about him. I will find a way. And clearly now she understands that she is there to help Mary. And Mary is receding. Mary is so used to her life being overwhelmed and her thoughts and everything about her life being undermined by Owen and his anger that she's done. She truly believes that Owen has the power no matter what. And it's very hard for her to believe that even between Crown Hill and Clara and Meg, that she will be able to escape Owen's darkness and pass into the light. Oh, this was a pretty good chapter. I hope you enjoyed it.